Here are 5 reasons that weekend warriors are fed up with pro anglers. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the vlog. If you're new, my name is Steve Chapman. Why are some weekend warriors fed up with professionals? We're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you 5 of the reasons I think most weekend warriors just not only can't relate or find anglers unlikable, or are just sick and tired of some of the stuff that pro anglers have. Now, this isn't all pro anglers. There's a lot of really great anglers in this industry and community. But are weekend warriors fed up with pros? Now, I'm going to read a lot of this stuff because I've written it down and can't remember all of it. But number 1, and in no particular order, I think weekend warriors are fed up with pros because of they're always flexing expensive gear. One of my pet peeves is every season, at the beginning of the season, we get this slew of anglers doing boat reveals. Why? Now, I do know why, because they've been given a boat and they are trying to promote that boat and do it. But a majority of the time, the boat is no different from the previous year than it is that year. There isn't any drastic technological advances. It's a fishing boat. And I so dislike the new boat walkarounds. Nope, done and done. And I think most weekend warriors feel like the $80,000 boat, the top tier electronics, and more make it unattainable for the average angler and unnecessary, making most feel like they can't compete or enjoy the sport and the hobby without spending a ton of money on a boat or expensive gear. And we have to remember, it ain't the boat that catches the fish. Number 2, overhyping sponsors constantly. Another one of my top 2 pet peeves. I recently watched a video where a 3rd-tier angler talked about how long he's received this bait and how great this bait is. Now, I know this is one of his sponsors, but all he did was talk about how he had such an influence on this bait, when the reality is he probably had nothing to do with it. Maybe he got some promos ahead of time. But his input as a 3rd-tier angler isn't necessary for those bait manufacturers. But he wants to promote his sponsor as much as possible. So he does a video and talks about how great he is, and nobody's ever been better, and these new baits are the best thing since sliced bread. And to be honest, the video came off forced and insecure, and came off as more marketing than real fishing. And when an angler does that, it takes away the authenticity of the sport and the hobby and the fishing. Number 3 is guarding spots like they're national treasures. Many pros use the tricks of the trade to hide where they're fishing. And I understand it in a lot of cases. You would hate to go out there fishing and find someone in your spot. But this is public water, and you can't consider a spot yours unless you own the water, and nobody does. And there's a lot of times when the weekend warrior gets very upset when they're out fishing and a pro ends up joining their spot and they think that it's theirs, and it isn't. Number 4, they turn every outing into a content goal or grab. Many fans feel like fishing has become commercialized too much and turning a peaceful activity into a media event. And there's so much of us that do content creating. And it's really hard to get into this and be successful because the truth of the matter is YouTube doesn't pay that much. But this is a great way for anglers to promote their sponsors. But it just comes across as very forced a lot of times. And the amount of clickbait that happens is astronomical. And number 5, and I think the most important one, is that a lot of the pros are chasing every advantage, especially on the tech side. And I think many weekend warriors don't like it. Now, there's a lot of people that love forward-facing sonar. There's a lot of people that don't love forward-facing sonar. You can have your own opinion. But the pros fully lean into using the technology as well as possible. And while weekend warriors feel the sport is evolving away from skill and towards tech dependence, many weekend warriors can't afford that technology. And is it tech evolution versus skill dilution? Is pro fishing becoming too much for the average angler or the weekend warrior? Now, I can honestly say that there's some of these things that make sense to me. Some of them don't. I think there's lots of things that are happening within the community and the industry that make weekend warriors and the average Joe not even relate to some tournament anglers, but they feel like there's too many people forcing their views and opinion on us. And some of the opinions are good. But there's other people that we're being force fed into their narrative, into the way they act and react on and off the water. And those anglers are being marketing geniuses at times. But how much do we want in our lives? Do we want this about the fishing, or do we want this about the angler? Because we need both to succeed in this community. But are some pro anglers pushing the sport away from the average guy? Drop your thoughts below. Have you had a run-in with a pro angler? I'd love to hear your comments, so comment below and tell me what you think. I have to say thanks to all the new subscribers and members and everyone who's interactive on the channel. It is overwhelming and awesome, and I can't say thank you enough. It is humbling and just awesome. I try to make sure that I reply to all the comments and try to be as respectful as possible. So, but thank you. I can't say thank you enough. Sincerely, thank you. But if you're not a subscriber, do me a favor, click that button. Welcome to the team. It's quick, easy, and it's free. Remember, take a kid fishing, tight lines, cheers, and get your fish on.